Welcome back to part 3. Hopefully you've joined us for part 1 and 2.
And our final part 3, we're going to hit 3 that do kind of all play off of each other. That's going to be the Aliens franchise, the Predator franchise, and then the Aliens versus Predator franchises. So, and then from there we'll get to our desserts, and then we'll just try to wrap the whole thing up.
Okay, well, thank you very much for watching this long, and we'll see you at the end of it.
See.
Speaking of, could have been great. Aliens.
I've got Aliens at number 4.
Number 4, okay.
Again, all over the place.
You could, for me, honestly, you could almost take everything I say about Terminator franchise and just put it right on top of Aliens.
Yep.
You really could. The first one was fantastic.
It's the watermark for space terror.
Genre-defying movie. Yep. It was, it set the bar. The second one,
greatest action movie
James
of all
Cameron,
times.
man. James Cameron started out with the hits. Yeah. He took what Aliens was and made it better.
Outside of like horror, space, sci-fi, what action movie would you even put in front of that?
In front of Aliens?
Yeah.
Action movie.
I mean, they're running around with like
pulse rifles
and grenade guns.
That sound.
The tank that she comes in to rescue
Jeep
them in.
Thing, the tank jeep thing.
In the extended version, you've got those motion sensing guns that are just in the hallway, just blasting away and stuff. I think that was the director's cut.
I don't think anything. I think
it's a great action movie.
Yeah,
and on top of that, it's a horror movie and a sci-fi movie. It's one of the best movies.
I would personally, the only movie I would put even close to it, Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
But that's because Starship Troopers apes off of Aliens so hard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you just replace the bugs with xenomorphs, Starship Troopers is an alien film. I mean, it's a fantastic film. It's almost I would almost say it's a homage to Aliens. So, yeah, really nothing. I mean, even like as a war film.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I really like Full Metal Jacket. I mean, there are some great war films, but
what is her name? Vasquez.
Yeah, Vasquez.
She was at a show that I was at here in like the last year, and still a very interesting looking lady.
Yeah, she played in Terminator 2.
Yeah,
she's the mom that
the mom
with
the
T-100.
Yeah, the arm.
Things,
like, what's wrong with Wolfie? Wolfie's fine,
Wolfie's fine, dear.
Like wow. But
yeah.
Easily one of the greatest action movies, plus sci-fi, plus space horror.
I definitely, and James Cameron, I think, for my money, Terminator 2, Aliens, Abyss. That to me, those are 3 near perfect films. They really are.
Yeah. I mean, you can go back and watch Aliens anytime, and you just still get your heart rate up. It's everything that's going to happen, and when the alien's going to raising up behind Newt, you're still just like, oh, don't kill Newt. It's like, I know you're not going to kill Newt.
The reveal of the Queen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have. If I was really nitpicky, I might be able to come up with a couple of things, a couple of criticisms of Aliens, but I really don't have any criticisms of it. Really don't.
Fly off, nuke it from orbit. It's the only way.
Game over, man. Game over. So good.
It's everything.
So
then
good.
The third one.
My goodness.
I saw the preview that was like, this time they're coming to Earth. And it didn't show you anything else. And I was just like running around like, woo, they're coming to Earth.
See, I remember thinking that that's what it was going to be about. But thinking I misunderstood something. But I looked it up.
I was picturing like tanks and battleships and fighter jets all trying to figure out how to fight this huge alien invasion. And then we go to a little monastery and they crash in. And
on like an asteroid or something.
It was on Earth, but it was like a prison colony. Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be like Australia, just somewhere that's like really isolated island that you take all these horrible rapists and murderers.
No. Aliens takes place on the bleak, barren planet. Eornia. Fury 161.
What the hell did they say they were coming to Earth? I always thought that took place like on...
No, I looked that up after we had that discussion the other day. because I was like, wait, was there a trailer that talked about it? And yes, there's absolutely a trailer that says like
So they didn't even
on
make it to
Earth, on Earth they'll hear you scream. Yeah, right. And what it was is they made that teaser before they even started making the movie. And so when they got into making the film, it just went in this completely different direction. Yeah, it wasn't even on Earth. Yeah,
just
exactly.
Just garbage.
You can dismiss Alien 3.
It is dismissed.
I remember back in the early 2000s, like when the internet first started, there was someone who was claiming that they had a script for a movie called Alien Earthbound. And it was they were saying that they were trying to get it approved around the time of Alien 3 being made, but by the time they got the script in the right hands, Alien 3 was already like greenlit. Don't know how true that is, but it was what you were talking about. The idea for the Alien Earthbound was Ripley makes it back to Earth, but her escape pod's been floating around in space for a while, and by the time she gets to Earth, aliens have run amok. I'm like, that would have been great. We still want that movie. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Maybe afterwards I'm just going to go get Alien 3 from my cabinet over there and just go throw it. We'll go throw it outside. It pisses me off. They didn't even come to Earth.
They didn't even come to Earth.
All this time. I thought.
And then we have Joss Whedon and his Alien Resurrection.
The fourth one? Yeah. That's Sigourney and the Space Babies.
Yeah. That. Okay. This film, conceptually, love it. I love the characters. Ron Perlman, Winona Ryder. Like, I like the characters.
What's the guy from The Crow with the voice? He's the captain of the ship.
Yes, I don't know his name.
That dude should, like, read everything. He should be like, I need audiobooks read by that guy.
He might have done it. But on paper, I like what Alien Resurrection was supposed to be. But I just didn't like the execution. And I think unfortunately, I blame Joss Whedon. I think it felt like a TV show.
Yeah, I don't. It's one of those ones I've watched multiple times. I've thrown it into like my bag back when I was carrying a portable DVD player back to Norfolk and Southern to watch while I was dispatching. I would throw it in to watch because it's just an easy one to rewatch. But it probably mostly was just because of the strength of some of the actors. Mm-hmm. I mean, even like the guy that ran like the little base that they come to, that old guy that they're like, when they first get loose, he's like throwing grenades into the ship. Whoever that character actor is, I love that dude. He's just always like a random like police officer or mobster or something. But yeah,
I feel the same about Alien Resurrection that I feel about some of the X-Men films. I like them by themselves, but not as a follow-up to, like, yeah. I don't like it as a follow-up to Aliens. Excuse me. Yeah. Have you? An aside, have I ever told you about the Neil Blomkamp Alien film?
I don't think
so. Okay, so the Neil Blomkamp back in like 2017. Do you know who Neil Blomkamp is?
That's what I'm trying to put together.
Ever watched District 19?
Oh,
District
yeah,
9.
Yeah.
District 9.
That guy.
Yeah, the guy who made that.
Okay.
So after he kind of became popular because of that, he had this treatment for an idea for an alien film that takes place after Aliens. So it would be a direct sequel to the Aliens movie.
Yeah.
And it would have Ripley, it would have Hicks, and it would have an adult Newt. And some of the concept art he had for it, it looked like they were on Earth. I don't know if it was on Earth or not. But they had like an alien with like a camera attached to its head. And so they're using aliens as like drones.
Okay. And
I'll show you this art later. And one of them was Sigourney Weaver with this like biomechanical like armor on, and her helmet was extended back like it was an alien head. So the idea seemed like she was working with the Colonial Marines and she was going to infiltrate an alien hive. And
probably dipping into some of the old Dark Horse stuff.
Yeah, very much.
Because there's some stuff like that where there's a lot of hives and different breeds of aliens mm-hmm. and Marines that go in to infiltrate stuff. I've read those years ago. Yeah. But again, when you have all that material that's laying out there for you, why do you make some of this stuff?
Yeah, why do you try to do your own thing? But yeah, very, very much everything I've seen of it, it tickles that. It's like, yes, this is what we needed. We needed Ripley, we needed Hicks, we needed Newt. That's what the fans deserve. That's what aliens deserve. To kill Newt and Hicks like they did,
yeah.
It just completely, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful.
Yeah. Next up was, do we want to bump those back for the last one? Because you have that as a different category. Aliens versus Predator came next.
Let's continue. Let's finish off with Prometheus, because Alien versus Predator is I would probably say, I don't know, between Terminator and Aliens versus Predator, I don't know which one I'm more upset about.
Gotcha.
Maybe Terminator, but Alien versus Predator is the one I want to talk a little bit more about. But so Prometheus, what'd you think of that?
Chronologically, Aliens versus Predator was next. We're going to bump that into discussion here in just a second.
Yeah, that's its own series as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. Almost kind of like Deadpool and Wolverine with the X-Men stuff. But yeah. With Prometheus.
Takes place before any of the Alien films. And it's about them first finding LV 420. What? Oh.
Yeah,
the planet LV 426.
I like a lot of the concepts from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like the end so much.
Where the engineer wakes up and smacks everybody around.
I don't even know that I have as much of a problem with that. It's just the weird sort of hybrid alien thing that just so quickly becomes. It had to become the alien that you recognize, so you could be like, "Oh, this is the Alien prequel." I would have been.
Well, the only alien-looking thing that was in that film was the Deacon. It was the white one with the pointy head.
Yeah,
the thing talking about
the thing at the end.
Yeah.
That after.
It came out of the engineer.
Yeah, it comes out of the engineer, and it's like.
Is that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio pointing? It's like, hey, that. I'd recognize that.
If the whole idea was that these guys are biological engineers and they can do all this stuff, then that needed to happen over a couple movies and not just be, hey, we got this dude pregnant with a weird squid thing that came out of the other girl and it popped out an alien. And it's like, how there's too many leaps there. I didn't like how that was handled. Up until then, I liked the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like the concept of finding that, trying to sort of put some backstory into the ship that they find with there's really no explanation in the first Alien movie. There's just this giant dude in a seat. And there
were a lot of speculation, and like the Dark Horse comics kind of touched a little bit upon it. Yeah. Of course, Prometheus retconned all of that. Like, were the aliens a biological weapon? Did they find them on some other planet and they were just transporting them? Like, no one really knew. This kind of answered that question.
I kind of like the concept of the
black goo,
the biological engineer thing, even though from a worldview, that's just garbage. But
well, according to the alien lore, Jesus was a half human, half engineer.
Yeah. Yep. So it's an interesting twist on something like that, some sort of creation story.
It touches on the ancient alien idea.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that. I like that.
It was a fun thing to sort of roll around in your brain, and like the casting of everything in that one. Again, my
Fassbender as David
in the first one.
Yeah. Fassbender
in the second one angered me, but we'll stay on the first one.
We'll talk about the fingering later.
Oh, yeah. In general, I like most of the first one. It's just, I don't know, it was unsatisfying the way they just tried to shove too many things into happening so quickly at the end. And
after I saw the first one, I was satisfied.
Yeah. I generally like the movie. I've watched it at least 10 times, so it's very rewatchable. I like the questions it brings up. I like the answers it provides. I like the idea of the black goo. I like the idea of that being some sort of mutagenic force that somehow created the alien. They had the art of the alien on that one door. Yeah.
When they were first found the vials of the black goo, so that evoked the alien. It's like, oh well, this thing exists.
Yeah, that kind of comes back to a weird thing. It's like, does that mean that the black goo is always going to try to evolve something back towards the alien?
Towards the alien. Yeah, that at the time, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I was thinking like the black goo somehow creates a being that's like the that's in the structure of the alien.
Yeah,
and like just kind of like a ant hive or a beehive or whatever. At some point, it'll create a queen.
Yeah.
So like originally in the first Alien film, one of the cut scenes showed like Dallas on the wall, and he was getting ready to be gotten with a face hugger. So the original idea of the alien is that there wasn't really a queen; it was the individual aliens were laying eggs.
Yeah.
So the idea that an alien can lay an egg and that can, produce a face hugger, but if you have enough aliens, a queen is produced. That's all fine. I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm fine with the black goo pushing that forward. All that's fine.
What was the thing with the one guy that comes back and he's like a weird monster that is super strong? Is like
he was supposed to look. I think he was supposed to look more like an alien originally. Like his head was supposed to get extended and stuff.
That to me seemed like something that just completely did not fit in that story at all. Yeah. It's like he comes back and just starts like trashing the dock and they burn him and whatever. And I'm like, what just happened? Sarah, why did that just happen?
I kind of took it as being where it's like it's not an exact science kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like mutation sometimes leads to dead ends. That's kind of what I took that as. Shaw was a fantastic character. I am almost universally, oh my goodness, and we didn't even talk about the newest alien. I didn't even put the newest alien film in here. I don't like the idea of like, hey, look, it's another Sigourney Weaver. I don't like that. It's disrespectful to the character. I think it's short-sighted. But Shaw was fantastic. I did not feel like she was trying to be Sigourney Weaver at all.
That's the Naomi Rapace. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't feel like I didn't feel like they were trying to say, hey, look, she's like Ripley. She was her own character.
Yeah.
And I think she was a great character.
She's a freaking warrior too.
Everything I liked
and got
about
stapled and then ran around with staples in her and got hit in the stomach, and you're like, every time like something happened, I was like, oh my gosh, that hurts.
Yeah. Everything I liked about Prometheus, everything that made me excited about Prometheus was crapped all over in Covenant.
Yeah.
Covenant was a waste of a film, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. The whole idea that these guys are going to be the engineers of the universe and all that, but they just got wiped out by somebody flying over them and crop dusting them with their own stuff was like, seriously, guys? It's like...
And apparently I was reading something where now they're saying that the people on that planet weren't actually the engineers. I don't know. They're just... I feel like... I don't know what Ridley Scott was trying to do with that film. It seems like he was trying to sabotage the legacy of Alien. Because now Shaw's body was used to make a facehugger egg, and David bioengineered the alien form, but it's the same form that was shown on the doors in the previous movie. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't make sense. It just does not. It does not follow.
They were stepping on spores, and the spores were doing things, and it's like, what? Is it alien goo, or is it spores, or what?
Yeah, do the spores make goo? I don't know.
One of the things I've heard about Ridley Scott, not Ripley, slip there, is that he's a very vocal atheist, and that he somehow or another keeps trying to prove himself right in his movies. He tries to write these explanations into stories and just refuses to ever just acknowledge the truth. But, so maybe that's what's going on behind the scenes with him and some of his decisions or something. I don't know.
So
I think I've watched that a second time, and I think any attempt I've ever made to watch it since then is instant nap. I can't stay awake for it because my brain's like, I think I've got a fail safe in my brain. It's like, this is bad sleep. I just go to sleep.
And I don't think it was unlike like the Matrix, the two sequels to the Matrix, where I feel like the Wachowskis really didn't know where to go with the Matrix. I think Ridley Scott knew where to go, but I think he was trying to like deliberately subvert expectations. There was a good, decade where that was all the rage. Let's subvert the expectations of the audience. And I feel like that's what this was.
Yeah.
It was just, he was like, oh, I know where you want this to go. I know where you guys would love to see Prometheus go. I'm going to do the opposite. Yeah. And it was just a disappointment.
I believe that. I don't understand that mentality that runs through video games and movies and everything, but whatever.
I almost think, and I think Prometheus was this as well. I think Prometheus was, because the Neil Blomkamp film, that fans seem to universally would have wanted. And Neil is no longer interested in talk. Even you don't want to talk about it. Just leave him alone. He's sick of it. He pitched that before Prometheus.
Yeah.
That his film didn't get made because Ridley Scott wanted to make Prometheus.
Yeah.
So I think there was a bit of
like old film
peeing on his territory.
I think old filmmakers are like politicians. It's like they need term limits.
Yeah.
They need to just stop doing things after they're about 60.
I think both Prometheus and Covenant was Ridley Scott saying, "This is my franchise, and I decide what happens."
Yeah.
Okay.
It
is right. It is your franchise.
You're just laying in a bed made out of money on a house that's stacked up with money, and I guess you don't have anything else to do except just entertain yourself at this point.
And I forgot to put the image of alien Romulus on here, but we saw that recently.
Yeah, I had that as...
Yeah.
I think what I said is like, the fourth movie was Sigourney and the Space Babies, then Aliens versus Predator, then Romulus, then Prometheus stuff, and then Romulus.
Oh, okay.
So I was kind of breezing through those other ones in my notes because it was like, there's not that much there to really talk about on those guys. Romulus is one of the ones, like whatever you're talking about earlier, where you said if you could just stop a movie at a spot, they needed to stop Romulus before they started black gooing and making whatever that other weird hybrid thing was. They were on the right track, and then they tried to shoehorn back into Prometheus stuff to it, and it's like, just, we got the black goo Prometheus thing, you already kind of screwed that in Covenant, just
move on.
Just go on. And outside of the obvious, stupid, stay away from her, you bitch line, and
that was
stuff,
very much a Terminator 3.
You could have fixed that by just editing that out. You could have just had him you could have gone back and voiced over him just screaming while he's shooting or something, or stay away, or sneezing, anything other than saying that.
I felt it was a by the numbers film. I felt it was safe.
Yeah, there was I don't like to get into too many of these sort of professional critics that just want to criticize everything. The Critical Drinker, I like some of what he does, because when he sees something good, he calls it good. And he did a video, and I wish I'd maybe watched it before we'd done this again to refresh my mind, where he basically said he gave you that movie Romulus. If you could just take what was there and re-edited it and just reordered a couple things, how much better of a movie it would have been. And it actually made sense. It wasn't like cutting so much stuff out. It was just, I think it was cutting out the black goo stuff. It was like that was just content that didn't need to be in there. But is it Eli Roth? Who's the guy that made the movie?
I think Eli Roth is right.
He's like a horror director, like Cabin Fever guy.
He made the Evil Dead film.
Yeah, the Evil Dead remake, and he did Cabin Fever too, I think.
Really?
But I like the tone of the movie. I like
Fede Alvarez.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking that was the Roth guy that did this, but Alvarez did some other horror too, though, didn't he?
Let's look. Don't Breathe.
Oh, okay.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I guess.
Okay.
The reboot of that. Never saw that.
Yeah, Don't Breathe. I love Don't Breathe.
So that's probably what you're thinking of, Don't Breathe.
Yeah. I like the characters in it. I like the way I don't have the names, but the guy that was the cyborg, where he was kind of a
I thought that was a great character. I really enjoyed.
I kind of like that.
He played it great.
It wasn't. I don't think it was a full blown effort to try to. Here's another Sigourney. It was probably kind of pushing that a little bit, maybe. But
I mean, she looked like her.
Yeah.
Rain, that character.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Tyler is the. No, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy was the replicant, not a replicant. That's Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Synthetic.
Yeah. I was trying to think of that word too. It was.
I mean, I liked the cast. I thought the cast was good.
Yeah.
And while I do criticize Rain for being hey, look, she's like Sigourney Weaver. Hey, look, she's like Ripley. She was fine. Yeah. I think the actress did a good job. I think the character was a good character.
What do you think about the scene where they're kind of floating around?
Yeah, it was fun.
I thought that was kind of.
It was fun.
I thought it was clever.
Yeah.
It was. I've heard some people be like
acid floating in space. Yeah, that would be scary. Yeah.
I've heard varying opinions on that. I kind of like that part of it, but I think that was getting into the part of the movie where they're doing the old lines from the other movies and stuff, and people were getting frustrated with how the movie was kind of wrapping up. And
if I don't consider Prometheus as being an alien film, and it's different enough to say it's not actually an alien film,
yeah.
I would say Alien Romulus is the best alien film since Aliens.
Oh yeah,
that's easy. That's easy.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Because
if it could, hopefully it's a course correction for the series.
Yeah,
which leads us into Alien Earth. We haven't seen this.
Yeah.
So that hopefully Alien Earth is what everyone wanted Alien 3 to be, but it takes place. I looked into this. Takes place before the first film. How does that work?
I don't know.
My assumption is an alien gets to Earth, and Weyland-Yutani takes care of it. And Weyland-Yutani is like, where did this thing come from? And they get like coordinates to LV 420, 426.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need to go get these because these are amazing.
Yeah.
I think Alien Earth is going to set up the motivation for Weyland-Yutani to even go out into space. Maybe they've been in space, but to go out to LV 426.
It sounds like that will be more of a corporate intrigue thing than an alien movie. But
it's probably going to be one of those things where like maybe you'll see the alien at the beginning, maybe a little bit at the end.
What was like the Apple Godzilla series where
yeah, Monarch,
where I haven't seen that, but I just heard it was like all this stuff that was not Godzilla, and just every once in a while it pops up. It's like, hey, Godzilla, look, remember, it was still a Godzilla show. Hopefully it's not that, but if it takes place before all that, I don't know how you can have it be. I still want at some point for there to be battleships and warships and airplanes bombing, trying to keep Earth from getting swarmed. That needs to happen at some point with aliens, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't think that Alien Earth will have the alien war. That's what we want. We want alien war.
Yeah.
That's really what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point we've got to get that. Because that's all, I think that's all anybody has ever wanted since Aliens. We want to see a battlefield with a swarm of aliens coming over hills.
Give me a 2000 or 2150 New York, or 2150 Tokyo, hyper modernized cities that are actually still cities in some form of country that's close to where we are now. Whatever you think it's going to evolve into 100 years from now, getting overrun by aliens. And
actually, I mentioned it earlier. We want Starship Troopers, but with xenomorphs.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
That was the kind of nice thing they did with Romulus, is they did seem to stay time frame correct with technology and stuff like that. I
loved the opening on the mining colony. That was great. I really enjoyed seeing like a little more of the Weyland-Yutani world. That was great.
But at some point, if that world continues, you have to develop better weapons because you figured out what's going on out there. Yeah. So give me a world where those weapons are developed and aliens have figured out how to level up a little bit too, and they're coming to take over the planet and subjugate all the people, hatch a lot of eggs, and go on to the next place. But I don't think that series will get us there.
Well, in order to get to Aliens versus Predator, we got to talk about Predator.
Yeah.
So, my overall view of Predator is the last film I didn't even see, so I can't 100% give my 100% opinion of it. But the Predator looks so bad. I'm just jumping right into it. The Predator looks so bad. I don't even want to see it.
That's in The Predator.
The Predator. Yeah.
I've watched that movie one time.
I loved The Predator. I think Predator is one of the best films of the 80s.
Yes.
Great Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
Which again, does he even get that role if he wasn't the Terminator?
Right. Right.
How many you sneeze on the butter or kill the butterfly in the dinosaur world, how many other things fall? That's
at some point, if we talk about Dune, I want to talk to you about Jodorowsky's Dune, because that is a movie that was never made, but the tendrils into the movie industry are long, far-reaching. Did you know Jean-Claude Van Damme was supposed to play the Predator?
No, I did not. Would that have meant we would have had to see his butt cheeks at some point? Because
maybe
there's no Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where you don't get like an obligatory like, oh hey, I didn't know you were walking into the room while I'm clenching my butt cheeks that look like they were just oiled.
Well, part of the reason he didn't play the Predator was because, as far as I understand, is he wasn't happy with the fact that he wouldn't be seen in the suit.
That they just would not be able to see who he was?
Yeah. The Predator was originally a mantis-looking creature.
Oh, wow.
Completely different from what we actually got. He doesn't look very happy there.
No.
And
no, that would have been an awful Predator.
It would have been just a B movie from the 80s.
Yeah.
And I don't know how true this is, but I heard years ago, and I've always liked this story, that the creature designer or the director, someone involved with Predator, was on a plane, and they were like sketching the Predator and trying to figure it out. And they were sitting next to James Cameron, and James Cameron gave him the idea for the mandibles. And I don't know if that's true, but I like the story.
Yeah.
I like the idea that James Cameron even had a hand in the Predator.
Yeah.
But it's a great film. I think it's kind of like a by the numbers film, kind of like Terminator. Both, I mean, you know,
it's one of the ones that kind of
like
comes up there with
kind of like Aliens.
With Aliens,
Yeah.
for neck and neck for just perfect action movie. I mean, you don't find a spot in Predator, the first one, that you're ever like, I wonder how much longer has this got. It's one thing after another, and just keeps hitting.
But it's a unique film. Like,
Yeah.
I can't really think of any other film that's you could put beside it.
Yeah, and is it the first time that Arnold just gets his butt whipped?
I think so.
I mean, every other movie he's always
The fact that he's not in any of the sequels or anything,
picking them up and throwing people around and saying witty stuff. It's like at the end he's just running for his life because he just got his clock cleaned by this thing.
Now, when Predator 2 came out, I was just a little one, and I didn't really appreciate Predator 2. I didn't like it when I was younger. As I got older, watched it again.
Yeah, I was watching that still in high school.
Yeah.
And again, castings make movies. You had Gary Busey, Bill Paxton, the girl, she was the same girl from Total Recall and stuff. That's been in other Arnold movies.
Oh yeah.
That was the other.
She was like a hot item for a little bit, and then she kind of went away.
Yeah.
Maria Alonso.
Yeah. Danny Glover, Gary Busey.
It's a great cast.
It was an awesome movie.
Very much a 90s film too.
Yeah, and bringing
kind
of like what you wanted with
film.
Alien stuff. It took you from out in the jungle and brought it to a city.
Yeah, concrete jungle.
Yeah, fighting in the subway. Everybody on the subway pulling guns out and getting slaughtered. And
definitely
crashing into the old lady's bathroom. all that stuff in that movie. It's just really cool.
Definitely not as good a sequel to Predator as Aliens was to Alien or Terminator 2 was to Terminator, but better than like RoboCop 2 to RoboCop. You know,
no, it's a
that almost made the list.
It's a satisfying follow up.
It was. I did enjoy it. I also enjoyed Predators. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, the
Adrian Brody.
Is that our chronological right? Did we get that Predator 2 and was Predators next?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Predators, and then I don't have it on here. Prey?
Yeah, the Prey movie.
Mm-hmm. Was that after that was after the Predator, wasn't it? Prey.
Yeah, that was the most recent thing.
Yeah,
Predators was great, with the exception of
the dogs.
I was gonna say Adrian Brody. Oh,
really? I thought he was great in it.
My thing with was everybody else in Hollywood sick the week that they cast for that movie? I was like, how did we get to Adrian Brody of all the action heroes that were available at the time?
That's the first time I ever recognized Adrian Brody as like Adrian Brody. You know, like he stood out as a specific actor.
Yeah.
You know, not just some actor that's in the role.
Yeah.
That's kind of
it was a fun movie. I like that movie too, where it doesn't have to be the next step from the jungle to being in LA. You didn't have to take it to New York for there to be another movie. It was just like, we're dropping y'all on a planet. Nobody even knows where this planet is. Here's some aliens going to come get you. And all the characters in there, you had the samurai or the Yakuza guy. You had Danny Trejo as like a cartel dude. And you had like the Russian military dude. You had the other girl that was the sniper. She's that girl from the New Mutants. Mm-hmm. And then, my hang up with that movie was Adrian Brody, but I think it worked in some of the stuff that you see in some of the Dark Horse stuff though, where you have different different breeds of aliens, and I think in some of the Dark Horse Predator stuff that there's different factions of predators,
Right.
and you actually got a little bit of that in there too, and that was kind of cool. Like there's some really kind of tribal, violent, if there's such thing as a predator that's more violent than another predator,
Right.
but almost kind of comparing them to like Indian tribes, where these guys are really brutal and they're just going to destroy everybody, and these guys are kind of.
Well, one of the things that kind of started to touch on that I really enjoyed about Aliens vs. Predator, we'll talk about that here in a minute, was the idea that the predators that get to Earth are adolescents.
Yeah.
Where like the predators that are like out in the universe are just visceral. They're just mean.
Even like
and I like that idea.
At the end of 2, when they come to get the one that Danny Glover kills,
Mm-hmm.
the guys that come out of the haze that are all kind of invisible, they're like, wow. It's like, these are the badass guys.
Yeah.
It's like he did kill like a little teenage one.
Right.
And these guys have got like different helmets, which you would assume maybe in the world would mean that means it's a different level of predator and all that kind of stuff.
Been doing it longer.
Yeah.
But I thought one thing I really liked about Predators that I think more franchises need to do is just say, hey, here's a story set in this world.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be associated with any other story. It doesn't have to be a sequel. And even Predator 2 even was kind of that. It was just another story in the world.
It's probably what they got right with Prey.
Yeah.
Here's this. We don't have to have any cameos from anybody. There's no other tie-in to it. This is, 1800, somewhere between early 1800s and probably 1820s or 30s, when you still had French explorers and English coming in from the East Coast, and the French coming down from the Great Lakes and stuff, and still trying to kind of go up through. I don't even know where that was supposed to take place. If it was supposed to be far out west, or if it was kind of supposed to be more upper North America near the Canadian Great Lakes or something like that, or where that took place. But
I assumed it was out west.
yeah, I think with there's a bunch of French like explorers there, and I don't think they ever got very far west. So maybe it's kind of more like a Minnesota, maybe into Canada era of North America or something. But
And Prey is one of those films where I understand the criticisms of like what this young unvetted warrior girl is gonna best a predator.
Yeah.
I understand the criticisms. I just don't agree with them. I was fine with the setup. I was fine with the payoff.
I think it
was all fine.
The way the film was executed, I think was satisfying. It was well done. It was good, well shot. She didn't have to pose with all the other Avenger girls.
Right.
It was just she's probably 95, 105 pounds maybe when she's soaking wet. So probably not a very good odds that she could kill a predator, but if you get over that part of it, the 125-pound teenage Indians probably couldn't have done any better if you really honestly wanted to put up predators against them. So,
and I would have been perfectly happy if that was the future of the Predator series. It's like, okay, well, let's go to another period of time and another warrior and see how they fared against the Predator, and if they did that, have some of them lose. The Predator needs to win sometimes. Come on, like. Throw him in ancient Japan. I mean, come on. Predator against samurai?
Against the Spartans.
Against the Spartans, yeah. That would have been great. You could... imagine, like, a 300 type film where it's just all those dudes against one Predator. Yeah. That would have been great.
Yeah.
They gave us the Predator. I don't know much about this film. All I know is there's an autistic kid that has some sort of superpowers. And this clip I saw where the Predator armor was nanotech, and those two things were like, no, I'm not. No, wait. There's also an apex predator, like literally a bigger predator.
Yeah. Which
again, as I said before, I'm fine with the concept, but the art I saw of it, all of it turned me off.
I was trying to even remember when I watched it, and that's how much of that movie sticks with me. I think I texted you the first time that I thought maybe I watched it while we were still at the railroad, but it came out after that. So I think I caught it in a hotel room at a night while I'm traveling to and from a show or during a show or something, and I watched it, and it was just like, it was really hard to stay awake through. It was just bad.
It was perfect tagline for the Predator. It was just bad.
It was just bad.
Yeah,
there were some mercenaries that were there for some reason. And
mm-hmm.
I guess you had to have people to.
I saw a clip of the mercenaries. Yeah, they were like, "Hey, we're like aliens." That's how it came across.
Yeah, I really. That's another. I think when you hit a certain level of just bad, that my brain is just like, I'm not retaining it. I don't have any space for that. I'm just not retaining it. So it's not one that I would even try to watch again.
And I was under the impression when I was looking this information up, I didn't find it, but for some reason I was under the impression that The Predator was a sequel to Aliens vs. Predator Requiem. But I think I'm just thinking that because it was literally released after it. I don't think there's any continuity.
I don't know. I could see how that was, because I think that was a thing that happened in Requiem too, where there was like a bigger predator showed up or something.
It was a pred-alien.
Yeah.
Predator alien hybrid.
That's right. Yeah. That's again another one that's not burned into the memory, because it was just not good.
Well, speaking of Aliens versus Predator,
yes,
that's the next group of discussions that we have here.
And it's actually our last one on the main course too.
It is. It's the last one on the main course, and for me, this was a hard one because it's the one that I felt personally had the most promise. Like,
yes.
as a fan, this is the series that I really wanted.
Well, when we talked about setting up this podcast, I kind of said that I kind of wanted to focus on Unbreakable, because that was one that was that for me. Mm-hmm. And I think this was kind of the one you picked out because it was that for you. And I'm right there with you too. And I had some Dark Horse comic stuff. I know I had more Alien stuff. I crossed over and picked up some Predator things. And I think there were a couple issues that I had that were some of the Alien versus Predator comics. And they were all awesome. I was getting into those so long after I think they were probably printed that I was just finding pieces of them over at the Roanoke shop. So I never really got a really good sampling of that, but everything that I got was awesome. And I was like, you take that, especially, you remember like the Dark Horse comics, how it really was an older style of illustration.
Oh yeah, kind of sketchy.
Yeah, almost like something you'd seen like a 50s or 60s like news strip or something.
Absolutely, yeah. They kind of looked like it was printed on newspaper.
Yeah, it was that style of stuff. And seeing just the prospect of that getting updated to film was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing.
For me, it was mostly the video games. I read a handful of the Alien versus Predator comic books, but the Aliens versus Predator video games is where I was at. From, I think it was the Atari Jaguar. And that was one of those, like, whenever my cousin's house, he had a Jaguar, so he had the AVP.
I don't think I've ever played a Alien versus Predator video game on any system.
Well, the first one was like a side-scroller. Remember the old X-Men side-scroller video game?
Oh, yeah.
It was like that.
Okay.
And then
you're the Predator, and there's just like a alien that runs at you, and you shoot it.
You were Colonial Marines, if I'm thinking of the right...
Oh, okay.
If I'm thinking of the right...
So you weren't even playing as a Predator. You're playing as just a Marine.
Yeah. Arcade game.
Oh, yeah.
Although you are Predators. You can't be a Predator.
You can't, okay.
Yeah.
It seems like that would be an overpowered way to play the video game. You just walk along with your shoulder cannon and just nuke everything, but...
Was that the one on the Jaguar? Let me check.
Definitely getting outside of my wheelhouse there. I don't think I've ever even seen an Atari Jaguar.
I'm remembering incorrectly. The Atari Jaguar was first person. You played a Predator. No, I've never actually played this.
Well,
what did I play the arcade game on? Doesn't matter.
Gotcha.
The games that I was really into was like the 2000 Alien vs. Predator first person game.
Yeah.
It was on PC.
Okay.
And they had a couple of sequels. And that 2000 game was the one that really got me into the mythos of Aliens vs. Predator. And then the movie came out.
Okay.
And a lot of people are really hard on the Alien vs. Predator movie, but I think they did a fantastic job.
It's another one that I've watched, honestly, more times than I can probably just count off the top of my head, just because it is such an easy watch. And it's not one that I go into when you're at that point of crossing over later entries into two different franchises, that I'm going into that hoping for it to be a Shakespeare play. I just want it to be lots of cool action and stuff like that. And I thought it delivered that pretty well.
Okay, I think the Aliens versus Predator I'm thinking of, the side scroller, was a Super Nintendo game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So pretty much like Double Dragon, but just Predator.
Yeah, essentially. But I'm in the same boat. I'm not going into Aliens versus Predator looking for some real deep, mind-boggling concept that makes you question reality or anything. I'm looking for predators attacking aliens and aliens attacking predators.
Yes.
And I really like the setup that there's this old pyramid that's in the Antarctic, and apparently the predators have been coming to Earth for years and years, and they use the aliens to train their young, and if they get out of hand, they just blow everything up, and that's where like the Mayans went. The predators blew them up. It's great.
It's kind of like, seems to me like this what came into my mind sitting there just thinking about that. It's just very Japanese, that it's like, this is how it is. We're not going to kill you with some long backstory or anything. It's like, here's the setup for the world of this movie, and here comes the movie.
Yep.
And like it or not, you can watch it, enjoy it or not.
And having Wayland be the same actor who played Bishop.
Yes.
Fantastic.
That's the thing that I have trouble with through all of the Aliens and AVP movies and everything, is I lose track of different people playing Wayland and stuff, even what he's supposed to be, who he's supposed to be. And
right.
I guess really for the stories of those movies, it doesn't really matter. I know there's supposed to be lore and stuff behind it all that you could take into different universes and the comics and to all that, but for that one, it was just like, whatever. He's just an old guy that found it. He could be anybody. He could be Wayland. He could be anybody else. But it was cool to see Lance Henriksen. Sorry.
Yes.
It's cool to see him again, just because I like him as an actor. So.
Yeah, he's anytime he's on screen, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
The main actress in Aliens versus Predator, I don't know her name. I've never seen her in anything else.
I don't think I ever have. Let's
see.
I first thought was the Will Smith's wife from Independence Day, but it's not the same girl.
No, I thought, wasn't that Vivica Fox?
Yeah.
We're not worried about it. One thing I was kind of disappointed in the follow-up is I was familiar with a character in the Predator mythos. There's a female human that's adopted by the Predators, and she's walking around with Predator armor, and she's just just a human acting as a predator.
Yeah.
And I really thought they were kind of setting her up for that, but they didn't. Requiem wasn't really a direct sequel to Alien versus Predator at all.
Coming back to the first movie, that just made me remember that part where she gets an alien.
Yeah, the alien head as a
she
shield.
Makes a spear. Yeah. And she gets the little scar, and I'm like, all right, I'm with you.
Yeah,
Let's go.
It's a great premise, and I really like seeing predators be kind of respectful to humans. That's kind of like a callback to both the first Predator and Predator 2.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we respect that you are a formidable warrior.
Yeah.
I'd really like that. The only criticism of Alien versus Predator that I kind of accept, I accept the criticism, doesn't really matter that much, is the speed with which the alien gestation takes place.
That's all over the place in every movie.
It is. It is all over the place.
Just pick one.
Yeah.
I'm fine if it's fast. I'm fine if it takes overnight. I'm fine if it takes 3 days, but pick one. It's
right.
You can't just have it. It's too many of those things. It's we do this so the next blood spot can happen.
It was Romulus, wasn't it? That it's almost instantaneous. It was very quick.
Yeah. That was one of the things, and I can't remember how he kind of suggested it, but that was one of the things that Drinker was talking about when he was kind of rewriting the movie, just kind of reordering it, was just make that happen later, because it just, like you said, it just happens right away, and okay. It's it's the fastest growing alien baby ever.
Now, at the end of the Aliens versus Predator, you did have a little Pred alien that came out of the Predator.
Yeah.
That's
supposed to be the lead to the next movie, right?
Yeah, the teasing for the next film.
Yeah.
And then it just crashes. Their ship crashes, and a whole new group of people have to deal with the aliens and the predators.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I really got disappointed with Requiem, is it felt too disconnected from the previous film.
it's probably the only part of that movie that I liked though, is that like it crashed in the woods and like some hunters kind of discover it and was not kind of pulling any punches there. Like one of the things it was like a little, probably a middle school aged or maybe a young high school aged son that was with his dad hunting, and it just, one of them gets on him, and I'm like, wow, okay, so much for not worrying about pushing the bounds of like exploding a kid in this movie. But that was kind of I think that was the high point of the movie, because it just kind of goes into, I don't even want to say like a teen drama thing, but it gets into convoluted territory that I remember. The sheriff.
Well, it's one of those movies where they focus more on the people and like what the people are doing, and I'm like, I don't care about the people. I want to see aliens and predators.
Fine if you have a story for the people, but it's just like here's a bunch of people. They're all doing different stuff. Like there are people at the high school like sneaking into the gym, and the sheriff was having some sort of power struggle with the military or whatever, and I don't remember all of the details of that one too, but I maybe have seen that one 3 times in total, and pretty far apart, and probably not paying attention to the last 1.5 times of it. It's just really wasn't that enticing of a movie.
I really don't know why they couldn't have brought the character from the first film, because she was just like left in the Antarctic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she survived.
Yeah.
And Whaling Yutani, and I mean, like brought some like proto-colonial Marines in. Yeah. Kind of gone that way. Like, hey, well, the company saw this crashed, and the company's coming to handle it.
They're aware of everything that happened in the first one, and let's fix the problem that it caused into the second one. It would have been a much more cohesive set of movies. And
yeah, I would have much preferred if they kind of followed the setup that Aliens had. Okay, it crashed. You saw the face hugger. Skip forward 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Now let's come in and clean up this mess that's happened in this little town.
And why it kind of gets into they just wrote it because that's what they wanted to happen next. Yeah. Why, when it impregnates a predator, does it come out half predator, half alien, but it impregnates a person and just comes out an alien? What's the difference?
My understanding is that like when the alien comes out of a person, that's technically half alien, half person. That's what that combination gets.
Okay.
In Alien 3, the alien comes out of a dog, and the alien runs around on all fours mostly.
I don't think I'd ever even. I remember that it came out of the dog. Yeah. I just don't really remember that even being something to even think about in that one.
Mm-hmm. It was more of a quadruped alien than before.
I guess that's at least an answer to that. That's always been my thing with that. Is like, why did it make a hybrid? It's like it doesn't make hybrids elsewhere. But
yeah, what we see kind of goes back to the Deacon from Prometheus.
Yeah,
with the alien with the white alien with the pointy head. Well, that's half alien, half engineer.
That makes more sense.
So what the alien that we see is half human.
That could have merited maybe some sort of
explanation
in one of the movies. You could have set that up so that you did have. I mean, that's a one scene addition to a movie that would set up you being able to do all kinds of stuff in follow-up movies if you just laid that out there. But
that would have been easy to do in Aliens.
Yeah.
Say, well, it got in with the cow, or with cows or something. Here's a cow alien.
Don't milk that cow.
Yeah, just have a couple of horns and some udders. But the AVP series, I am disappointed that it didn't continue. That is a part of this where I feel like they really dropped the ball. Is they didn't push forward.
And do you know? I've always assumed because I entered it from watching the movies and didn't do the comics, but I guess some of those comics maybe existed before. I don't know if that's right or not.
Yeah, in the 90s they started AVP in the 90s.
But did a Predator 2 predate that, or? Because
I do not know.
You get into the ship where you see like the
little skull,
the trophy rooms, or you see something that looks like a T-Rex and maybe some other stuff, and you see the aliens. And I always kind of assumed that was like, wouldn't it be cool if you just stuck an alien head up there? And then people started talking about, well, what if we wrote stories about, them hunting aliens or fighting aliens and stuff? I wonder if that concept existed before Predator 2 or not, or if that's where that came from.
I'm pretty sure. Okay, well, The release date was November 21st, 1990. That was Predator 2.
Yeah.
And the Aliens versus Predator comics started in 1989. So I would say the filming of Predator 2 probably predated the comics.
Yeah, definitely the screenwriting and stuff for it. It may have been an idea that all came out at the same time. It's like, let's write this into the screen thing. And it's like, well, if you're going to do that, wouldn't that be an awesome comic?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how it happened, but that makes sense.
That's a series, I mean, really, any of these that have comic series, that is definitely a series I would like to get like omnibuses of and kind of go through. Yeah. And that really is that's the advice I have for myself and for anyone else that loves these series, because all of these, Matrix, Terminator, X-Men, well, maybe not X-Men, Aliens, Predator, AVP. If you enjoy the property, there's other media out there. You don't have to you don't have to accept the films. Just if there's stuff you don't like, just accept that it's there, but don't let it hang you up.
Yeah. And
that's one thing that we didn't really talk about Star Wars or anything. That's one thing I kind of learned about Star Wars. Yeah. Is like, I love Star Wars. I love the extended universe, and I still love Star Wars and the extended universe. Yeah. Just because there's some movies that I don't really care for, or some shows that I don't really care for, doesn't mean I can't enjoy the property. And that's how I feel about all of these.
Yeah.
None of these properties are ruined for me.
That's the thing with Star Wars.
Yeah, even Terminator.
the thing with Star Wars is like, just some of the actors have gotten so unhinged, or whatever the right word is for it, that they're starting to make me just not want to see anything with them in it, and that's unfortunate. And it's when Mark Hamill's whole identity is because of those movies, and he just come out and basically telling half of the people that are fans of that y'all are idiots and I hate you. I'm just like, well, that goes both ways there, little guy.
Him and Stephen King are entertaining, to say the least. It's entertaining to see how upset they get.
Yeah, I don't
get very upset.
I don't get it, but I guess maybe the negative interaction pays as much as positive interaction on some social media stuff. I don't know.
It's kind of like no news is bad news.
Yeah.
No attention is bad attention. I think that's kind of a part of it.
Whatever happened to like making your money and just go putting your feet up somewhere and retiring? You can't tell me that all of those guys are not just borderline billionaires at this point, unless they've been complete morons with their money, which is also very possible, because
you don't.
Everybody thinks because you're an actor that you're some kind of brilliant dude. Half of those people are. I expect to meet them and they're just like, hey,
Unlike money, attention is a currency you can't stockpile.
Yeah.
That gets spent as soon as you get it. All right, well that's it. That's it for me. That's all I got. Man, we
almost covered some territory.
We almost did. We could have gone on. I mean, this could probably be a series in and of itself.
Yeah.
It really could. Yeah. But these are definitely some film properties that they could have done better with.
I went on for probably the better part of 2 weeks, kind of going through and kind of making lists and kind of compiling lists and looking at stuff and cutting stuff from it, because it was like you had to start making some criteria for myself about how to narrow down 35 movies to a top 5. And it really wasn't hard once you kind of start laying out some stuff like, was there really anything even good ever in this one franchise? And you're like, no. Okay, so that removes these 10. Mm-hmm. And was there anything that was, you get into Resident Evil, that's one you can talk about forever. And there's some enjoyable movies, but...
Yeah, but that's one of the ones I couldn't put on the list, simply because I thought the first movie was a good movie. It's just a good film. I thought it did justice to the series. It was a great adaptation. The subsequent films, not as good, but I didn't feel like they were so much worse than the first film. Yeah. It's quality-wise, it's about what I expected from the series.
Resident Evil, the first one, was again one of my early DVD purchases, ownerships, that I watched because it was probably the best zombie movie that I had.
Yep.
And then after it got surpassed in gigantic ways by lots of other better movies, it just kind of became one that went to the back of the shelf, and just never watched it again. So,
have you watched that recently? The original?
No.
Paul W.S. Anderson?
No.
It's you gotta accept the directing of it. It aged pretty poorly. Like if you go back and watch it now, there's some
like
definitely some
shaking camera stuff and like blurring and moving stuff to make up for the fact that they were just guys like with a little bit of makeup on, walking around with their hand out. Yeah, just
and kind of Matrix-esque, just cinematography and stuff like that. It's a product of its time.
Yeah.
But I definitely, I can understand if someone felt that the Resident Evil series dropped the ball, but I don't think it did.
That was the reason I just brought that up, because that was one that I eliminated because it never had a powerful entry like Terminator 2 or the original Matrix or the first two Unbreakable or any of the ones that we talked about. It was okay, but it is the same as the Fast and the Furious series and anything else. They're watchable movies, but how many times do you go back and talk, man, you want to talk about Fast and Furious 2? You're like, no. How about Resident Evil 5? I'm like, well, I don't even know which one that one is.
One series that I almost put on here to talk about was Tremors.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the sequels?
I've made it through parts of some of the sequels, and
yeah,
that does start off with a really powerful entry. That's an amazing first movie.
The first Tremors I would recommend to anybody.
Yeah, but I don't think it ever comes back with anything quality enough to be other than we just made some content for DVD. And Michael Gross needed a job.
and that was kind of my thought process with was it mishandled or not?
Yeah.
And I really don't think it was, simply because they made a direct-to-TV, direct-to-DVD sequel.
It wasn't so much mishandled as it wasn't funded, so it couldn't be anything but what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's how we got to this list.
Yeah.
And I think we did pretty good on cutting down 100 years worth of film into 5 movies.
Now, aside from whatever the MCU is going to do with the X-Men, are we expecting any new entries to any of these franchises at any time soon? Maybe Aliens? Because Romulus did pretty good.
The TV show, I guess, will be the Aliens thing,
yeah.
and if that has enough success, I'm sure that'll be, and Romulus, that might spark something else.
Because I'm pretty sure the Matrix is dead.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, last I heard, the Terminator was dead.
Yeah.
Unbreakable's dead.
Yeah.
Wow. Predator will probably get something.
Yeah, I guess once they spend the next 2 summers milking other properties for senseless films, they might come back and be like, hey, remember that Predator stuff? Let's make one of those. But probably not looking for anything good to come back out of any of them anyway.
Yeah. All right, well, that's it for our main course discussion. For the main course food, all right, this kind of amused me because I kind of forgot about this. I was like, oh no, I have to get some food. It just slipped my mind. And I just went to something that I eat pretty regularly because I think it's a great little, something you grab real quick. And it's the Chick-fil-A Chicken Minis. And before today, you've never had these.
No.
Okay, no. Chick-fil-A Chicken Minis.
I get the
These
combo
things
number.
Are fantastic.
I get combo number 2, the deluxe, every time that I go. I don't even look at a menu at Chick-fil-A. I just walk up and give me my spicy deluxe combo.
Okay, so you don't really do breakfast. They have a nice spicy breakfast biscuit.
Once a month, maybe. Okay. Chick-fil-A, a lot of times while we're on the road at a show. Yeah. Because I'd rather do that than go buy a $48 burger at Five Guys.
Yeah. It's understandable.
So,
all right, well, we're gonna.
I will find a brand new food that I've never tried from Chick-fil-A.
There you go. Well, I'm happy to share. I'm
never considered that as a possibility.
Right. All right. Well, we'll be back. All right. So, what'd you think, Joe?
I think the first thing I said when I took a bite of it is this is the Logan's, the rolls from Logan's.
I had never made that connection, but I think you're right.
Probably pretty close. It's a little heavier bread than that, but we used to go to Logan's all the time because I think our son Logan maybe thought
it was his.
The restaurant was named after him. So we went there a lot and discovered that we get the little yeast rolls, that they bring those back to you a lot, and those things hot, that would be why I'm on a no-carb diet at the moment. It was because all the yeast rolls I consumed over the last 30 years from Logan's. But yeah, that was actually kind of nice they always had good chicken, and that mixed in with it, little kind of sweet yeast roll bread was surprisingly good for a little box from a fast food restaurant.
I think it's like some sort of honey butter or something like that. I think that's what does it.
Yeah, it's that little sweet in there.
And
now what you need to do is you need to take that and put some of that barbecue on that and have a chicken barbecue slider yeast roll.
There you go.
And then you could just have a sugar coma afterwards.
Right. Now you can put the little honey roasted barbecue on it, but I think it's good enough by itself.
That's what I was thinking. That's like barbecue on this would be amazing.
Yeah,
actual barbecue with meat on it would be amazing.
That would be pretty good.
Is it legal to open a restaurant where you just go buy food from other places and combine them and resell them?
There was, I don't know the legality of it. There was actually a business years ago that their whole business model was they would buy Chick-fil-A sandwiches Saturday and sell them on Sunday. And it was like 666 chicken or something like that. It was like the devil's chicken.
I might pass on that.
It was amusing.
I'm not gonna taunt.
Right.
I'm gonna tempt fate on that one. Like, that was a really funny joke, wasn't it? Yeah. See ya.
And the devil's chicken. Why are you here? I ate Chick-fil-A on Sunday.
Pack lightly. It's gonna be a little warm. Hope you get flip flops because you're gonna be eating them shortly.
Well. I have 2 dessert items, and I'll go ahead and talk about my first one.
Yes.
Gunsmith Cats. Now, this was one that I was anticipating talking about as the appetizer. I thought I was going to get to this.
Okay.
But I didn't. And the reason I didn't is because of you.
Yeah, because you sent me...
I sent you a picture.
Just a picture of a...
I found at a local comic store 3 issues of Gunsmith Cats Burst.
Yes.
And I just knew Gunsmith Cats was kind of like hard to get, and they were selling for like $6 a pop. And I was like, hey, I'll take them. And I sent you a picture. I was like, hey, check out what I got. Yeah. And
I got it. I didn't know it. So in usual fashion, while we're sitting here doing something else, and you send me something, I'm just like,
yeah, what is that?
Searching. And then found out that Burst is a sequel series, right?
Yes, Burst is a sequel series. They had a series that it's 4 volumes, and it was called Gunsmith. As far as I could tell, Gunsmith Cats Revised. Now, from what I could tell, there was original release. Now, back in the 90s, I think Dark Horse released a lot of manga in like comic size, like actual issues.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. Is they had issues for Gunsmith Cats as a comic book.
Why can't they do that? The older I get, I get those little manga books, and I'm sitting there like, where's my readers?
And I think Gunsmith Cats Revised was a compilation manga series that had 4 volumes. Okay. And then they had Gunsmith Cats Burst, which was 5 volumes.
Okay.
And all of those are ridiculously expensive. Now, they have just recently released, like in January, the Gunsmith Cats Omnibus Book 1. And I ordered that, and I just got it 2 days ago. So I haven't had a chance to get into it yet.
Do we know, is it...
It is the...
Girl Assassins, or...
Yeah, essentially. It's assassins.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of assassins shooting guns. And I'm all for that.
Do we know, is it supernatural, or is it just like...
As far as I'm aware, it's not supernatural. More like mercenaries.
Taking out the Yakuza like or something, or working for the Yakuza, maybe. I don't know.
My only exposure to Gunsmith Cats is just snippets that I've seen of the OVA, and that was enough to get me interested. Okay. The OVA, again, just like the manga, is hard to come by, but I'll watch it somewhere.
I've never even looked. Do you ever look at the anime on Tubi?
If I usually search, like, where do I watch this? And sometimes it's on Tubi, yeah.
I've just gone to the category anime on Tubi, and it's all this, like, older stuff. And you look at it, and you're like, I don't know what any of this is. And how do you don't know which ones are ones to try because it's good. How many of them are just going to be some kind of fan service thing that has 3 episodes that goes nowhere. And so I go there and kind of peruse through it, and you see so many titles that by the time you kind of get halfway through it, you forgot even what you looked at first. And then I just exit out and go do something else because I'm not ever looking for something specific. But I see a lot of that era stuff. I don't think I've ever seen that on there, but I also have been looking for it.
The style of it really reminds me of one of my first and favorite probably because of nostalgia, really. First anime I saw was Dominion Tank Police. You ever even heard of this?
Yeah, I've seen the title, but I've not ever seen any manga or anime from it. I think I've seen it. We see so many like anime dealers and stuff at shows, some that have DVD stuff and some that have a lot of people that have older books, and it seems like maybe I saw the book. Or a book, not the book.
Yeah, it was, the film came out in 93, and I think it was by the same writer that did like Ghost in the Shell, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
And anyway, I really enjoyed the series, and I think it's just because of the era in which it came out is why this, like, stylistically it seems the same.
See, in 93, I was completely even unaware of anime. Yeah, I think that was the year I graduated high school, and my world of entertainment at that point was the local video rental store that we had, what you could find there, and I was usually looking, for horror and stuff there. And then we had 2 channels at the house, and you never saw any anime. So I think I'd maybe seen like some Voltron at that point, and that was about it. So
yeah, that definitely was a time where people were watching things they weren't aware that it was actually like a different culture's cartoons, essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's Masamune Shirow. He's the guy who does Ghost in the Shell and Appleseed. Same guy.
Okay.
So you definitely have that flavor.
Yeah.
To the anime. I enjoyed it. It's tongue in cheek. It's real fun. I'll let you borrow the DVD at some point.
Yeah. I still got Ghost in the Shell. What was the follow-up series? Which one?
Gits. The Ghost in the Shell standalone complex.
That one. Standalone complex is one that I think I've made it through one time, but I watched it in such broken pieces. I want to go back and do that again. And then I know they came out with little short movies, and then some other, I think some of the short movies might have been prequel stuff, like before she was working for them. And
it's hard, and I was kind of feeling that this way with Gunsmith Cats, when you are coming into a series, especially like a manga series that is well after it's run its course.
Yeah.
Well, where do I watch first? What do I consume first?
Yeah.
But I think the omnibus is going to be a good place to start.
Yeah.
And my plan is to get all 3 volumes of the omnibuses, and it's coming out. I think there's another one in like September and another one in November or something like that.
Okay.
So the other 2 volumes aren't even out yet. But
yeah,
that's what I'm looking forward to. That's kind of a long-term thing.
Yes. So my first dessert, or my only dessert.
Your only dessert.
I've eaten too much today. Is just Invincible. I think I mentioned that at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
We just kind of try to do things one at a time. We're 4 episodes, I think, away from finishing Sons of Anarchy. And I think they've just about killed everybody that's left. There's a few people still alive. But as soon as we finish that, we're going to go back and pick this up at season 3. I watched the first 2.
Now, you've read the comic book with this as well, right?
Not at all. That's what I'm ready to get into.
All right.
My first Kirkman stuff was the Astounding Wolfman, and it actually had crossovers into Invincible. There were crossover issues that I picked up so that I could have a continuous collection of Astounding Wolfman. I don't remember how long it ran. It was maybe in the high 20s, maybe close to 40, but it wasn't a huge series.
The Astounding Wolfman.
And
25 issues.
Okay, so it wasn't even that many, but very cool werewolf guy as a superhero. For my first exposure to Robert Kirkman, and as I was doing that, that's when you're starting to see Walking Dead stuff appear. And then after that was kind of appearing, it was, we've heard they're going to do a show, and then the show followed and all that. I had picked up the first 2 omnibus of The Walking Dead and kind of read through those, was way ahead of the show, kind of stopped there, and we just started watching the show. And like I said, the show just went on so long, it just wore me out on all of that. So I kind of cut all of that. And I had seen Invincible from the crossovers, and I think at that point, maybe I'd seen an omnibus of the first one. I was like, maybe, but it was like, I was kind of turned off of Kirkman stuff just because they milked the TV show The Walking Dead to the point I didn't hate it, but it was just, I was like, I don't need any more of this. I've watched this for too long as it is.
Now, The Walking Dead, the issue with the TV show for The Walking Dead wasn't like a Game of Thrones thing where they caught up with the source material. It was that actors would leave and have other projects and stuff like that.
And
where
what really killed The Walking Dead was 2020. It's like everybody, all the people that were, I wish I could think of all of these people's names.
all the people in The Walking Dead.
No, all the producing people.
Oh, okay.
A lot of these people were the same people that worked in movies like Aliens and stuff. They grew up. Oh my goodness, they used to come on the post show all the time, but the different showrunners and directors and stuff that were really experienced writers and directors were in those first seasons up through, Negan showing up and into that season. But in 2020, everybody had to embrace all this nonsense, and you had to hire writers because of whatever category they filled, and you ended up with all these people that had never even written shows before, and you could just see it instantly change the shows. Started with little things where you'd have a gun battle and you'd watch somebody run around and shoot, and they'd shoot 150 rounds out of a little
right.
10 round magazine and never reload, and have the same little, like, almost like little firecracker sparks that used to be things that were good effects and stuff, and all those effects are usually CGI'd afterwards, but they weren't even doing that, and it was just, the quality of it just fell off a cliff. And then they just started kind of just trying to tell the same story again and just adding, here's a bad guy, he's not Negan, but he's kind of like Negan, and they just did
it deviate from the comics, like story wise, characters and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, from the whole arc with Carl on, just started to kind of fall off, because I think that one happened because he had to leave, but him not being there and them not really ever replacing it got into having to change the storyline of with the Whisperers, and then that storyline kind of, it just drug on too, and that was kind of where I started to lose interest in it, and that's where the quality of it too, and kind of once Rick went away too. Rick, where I had read in the comics, Rick never goes away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
He's mauled. I mean, he's like one-handed.
Yeah.
He's in rough shape. He's not fighting. He's, he's kind of like the older leader.
Elder.
Yeah, he's the elder, and he's still not even the shot caller all the way at that point, because other people have kind of stepped up. And
you think they could have done that even if the actor wanted to stay, do his own thing and no longer be the main character?
Yeah,
he'd be like, hey, look, just give us 2 episodes a season.
We need 2 episodes, or we just need to shoot some footage with you this week that we can add into these next 5 episodes. But
just hanging out in the house on the porch.
Yeah. So for that reason, every time I saw Invincible, I would always be like, yeah, nah, I'm not buying it. I don't want to get into it. And so waited until they started making the show, and I'm like, well, if it's going to be on Prime, I'll give it a try. I'm always cautious of Prime. And of course, once you got into watching it, you saw that Seth Rogen was involved, and I was like, it's like, how many episodes is it going to take before this turns into Sausage Party or some other just stupid sophomore joke thing that is the only world that he seems to function in? But
as an aside, it's just recently got announced that he is going to be heading the new Darkwing Duck series. And that was one of the series as a kid I was all about Darkwing Duck, but I heard that Seth Rogen's involved. I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. And
that's how I went into the first 2 seasons of Invincible. I was like, I'm going to watch this until it gets intolerable. And it actually stayed pretty good quality up to where I've watched. And I'm like, I'm good with it. So we'll do a 3rd season. And if it turns into, what's the superhero thing?
The Boys.
The Boys. If it turns into The Boys, then whatever. I can stop watching it. I'm not invested in it. I enjoy it. I love, is it Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead that plays Mark in this?
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of crossover from The Walking Dead into this because of Robert Kirkman, I guess, where you have Corey Payton. He does several voices in it. Ross Marquand, the guy from, is it Arlington or the Northern Virginia town where they have the little sanctuary and in The Walking Dead? He's the guy that kind of goes out and finds Rick and then brings him in. He does multiple voices in this.
Okay.
a lot of good voice actors in it, and I like the story. It's got J.K. Simmons in it too. If it stays tolerable, I'll watch it just because of J.K. Simmons being Omni-Man. And,
I would definitely, if I was explaining Invincible, because I've seen the first season.
okay.
If I was explaining Invincible to somebody who had seen The Boys, I would be like, it's like The Boys but animated. That is how I would describe it.
Yeah.
Like I would describe Extraordinary that we spoke about earlier. It's like The Boys but tame. You know, it's that like deconstruction of the superhero genre.
Like the kind of adult that it's designed for adults. They can make it pretty clear that it's an adult show. Mm-hmm. It's pretty hyper violent, but it hasn't gone into all just that depraved sexual stuff that he's brought into The Boys. And I don't. If people think that's funny or they like watching that, then whatever. That's fine. It's some people like cabbage, some people don't. I don't like that, and I don't like.
Like I said, I haven't seen the second season of Invincible, so it might change. But the word I would attribute to The Boys that I wouldn't attribute to Invincible is gratuitous. Yeah, like it's violent. Yes, it is very violent, but I don't feel as if
the word I would put to it is unnecessary.
Okay,
there's nothing in The Boys and that all that stuff that comes in that's anything other than just, hey, did you see what they showed in The Boys last night? I'm like, yeah. Okay, what about it? It's disgusting, and you're disgusting.
It's shock value.
Yeah, it's so if it stays the course, I'll keep watching it, and if I'm not attached to it, but I like the story. Oh my goodness, what Walter Goggins, who plays
Who's on Fallout,
the agent. I can't think of what his name is. The one on the cover there. He's another one too that he just adds value to anything that he's in. Yeah. I mean, I'm just watching the last season of Sons of Anarchy where he's a transvestite with.
Okay.
And that he's.
I bet he makes an ugly woman.
It's horrifying, but he embraces the role, and it's funny. It's like I said, I've never really seen him play anything that's I've been like, wow, that was bad. So.
No, I think you're benefiting from the fact that you haven't read Invincible then.
Oh, I'm sure, and even just by I think searching for trailers, I get stuff that pops up on YouTube all the time. And with the advent of shorts, there's so many little things that are like a short, and you see a scene that is kind of a spoiler thing. Mm-hmm. That's like, I'm not searching this. Stop putting it on my feed. It's like, I don't want this spoiled. I don't want to see. I've seen a few things pop up in little YouTube shorts that I think are probably going to happen in the show. And I try to, like, at least my wife doesn't see those. So I try to not point them out so that it doesn't get ruined for her. But I think I've seen some places that it's probably getting ready to go, and that's going to be one of those territories that if they handle it right, it could be good. If they handle it wrong and it gets preachy, then that might be where I stop watching. So we'll see.
One place that I hope AI goes at some point is if you get a YouTube short of Invincible, you can bring up your YouTube AI and say, see this character? Don't show me any videos with this character, with this person.
Never.
Yeah,
there's like just a no spoiler feature on YouTube.
Well, there are a few creators that I'd like to just say, if I never see anything from them again, it'd be fine.
Anybody that just shows somebody else's video and reacts to it, just
yeah, I love.
Let's start there.
I love is the word. Those videos amuse me where it's just a whole video and the whole thing you just do a little do in the corner, just looking at the other video.
It's like, and that guy's making money doing this. I've got a YouTube channel. I've got like 300 people subscribed that I work on. I'm not gonna say I'll work so hard on it. I put time into it. Mm-hmm. This is some moron that's just sitting there showing somebody else's video going. Like, okay, I'm just. Whatever.
Exactly. Whatever. But I'm also looking forward to whatever Invincible happens, but I need to catch up. Yeah. I'm not necessarily looking to jump right in, but it's just at some point I'll get to it.
I wouldn't say that's even a parallel to Unbreakable, but it's an alternate version of some superhero stuff. Mm-hmm. A lot of it does mimic mainline superhero stuff. There's even parts of it where they kind of acknowledge that this is our Batman, you know. Mm-hmm.
All of that, I would say, all of that started for me with The Tick. Yeah. And The Tick was just tongue in cheek and just goofy all around. But I love them taking the superhero genre down a peg, essentially, and that's what a lot of these properties
you
do.
say the tick while we're sitting here with this bowl of fortune cookies. One of my favorite just scenes that I don't think I even watched that much Tick, but I think it was that first TV series where they're sitting there like a little restaurant talking about whatever it was they're talking about, and he just crams a fortune cookie, and then he's like, you can see he has something in his mouth, and he's like, he spits it out. He's like, it's a secret message from my teeth. I was like, oh my gosh,
It's so stupid.
my wife and I laugh about that still. We maybe watched that first TV series. What did it go 5-6 episodes for it?
It wasn't long.
It was the Patrick Warburton one.
Yeah.
But we watched it up until whenever it went away, and there's several scenes for that. That's the one that it's one of our quotable things. We'll get like a piece of gristle when you're eating a steak or something, and you have to pick it out, and you're like, it's a secret message from my teeth.
Did you ever see it looks like 9 episodes. Did you ever see the reboot series?
No.
Not as good. It was fine, but it felt kind of try hard.
Yeah.
You can't beat Patrick Warburton, man.
If you start with Patrick Warburton, it'd be like replacing Jim Carrey in something with somebody else. He's too over the top to be. You either need him or just no.
Be like replacing Jim Carrey with Jamie Kennedy. Right? Wasn't Jamie Kennedy in The Mask? Like the sequel to The Mask?
Yes, he was.
No.
I don't think I even saw that. I think I avoided it.
I'm just aware of its existence.
Yeah.
I don't need to see that.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
All right, my other dessert is Evangelion. Now, I've seen Evangelion, the original series, back in the 90s.
Yeah.
That's really what I've seen. I've gone back and watched a couple of times.
I've never seen the series. I've got the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I can't see that far to see if I have that last one that they did. Didn't they release it on Prime?
Yes. We're going to talk about that.
I don't know if I have a copy of that. I know I haven't watched it.
I looked it up, and what I saw was they had the Evangelion in 95, the original series, and they had a Death and Rebirth film, and then an End of Evangelion film where they like rechange the ending. That's where it gets real confusing, is when they start changing the ending and stuff like that.
It even seems like there were 3 before the Prime thing, right? 3 movies, like the You Shall Not Pass and the You Can't Unsee, or whatever those little subtitles
Right,
were.
that's the rebuild, where they pretty much remade it. It was 1.0, You Are Not Alone. 2.0, You Cannot Advance. 3.0, You Cannot Redo.
I think it was the 3.0
And then
that got
Thrice Upon a Time. It was like 3.33 or something like that.
The 3.0 was the one that I remember when I watched it, and maybe it was too much time between it and the second one,
Mm-hmm.
that I was doing a lot of, who is that? And what?
Right.
It was very confusing to me. And it's one of those things I said, is like, I need to go back and start from the beginning and watch it again. And I just haven't put that time commitment into it. And that's why I've never watched the one that came out on Prime, because I was like, if I couldn't understand or remember what was happening in the third one, I'm not going to watch a fourth one.
Right.
Because I'll just be sitting there like, wow, there's flashy things.
Well, the reason I'm interested in watching more Evangelion is there was a event in one of the little gacha games that I play called Nikkei.
Okay.
And it was an Evangelion event. They just finished up a little while ago. And the characters in this event was from that rebuild series.
Okay.
And so that kind of got me interested in seeing more about those characters. And I haven't quite decided if I'm just going to go back to the 95 series and just kind of go through all of them.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of it I want to
I talk all the time about how much I love mecha stuff, and the designs and that were
fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then, what do they call the things that are coming?
Angels.
Angels, that's
Mm-hmm.
right. I know it wasn't gods. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't remember. The angel stuff is just so off the wall and random, but creative, and I like those battles in those first movies. And there was something in that third movie, and again, I'm stretching it and stuff I just can't remember. There was like
not only is it pretty like obscure and obtuse, it was a long time ago. Anyway.
There came into the third movie like a girl in red that was like another pilot, and somehow or another I don't remember how she came into the series, and she was like the main part of like the third movie at the beginning.
Yeah, Asuka. This one.
Yes.
But then you have in the rebuild series, you have a girl that comes in pink.
Yeah, and I got to where I could not remember who the characters were,
right?
And they were like, that was the focus of the beginning of that movie, and I was like, I need to just start this over, because I really was just sitting there watching things happen. It's like I have no idea what I'm watching.
And that's kind of how I feel, because I also have the Amazon series, the 3 Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And I did start watching the first one like a few years ago, but I was kind of getting the same situation where I realized I wasn't paying enough attention to actually follow what was going on. Yeah. Unfortunately, most of us have gotten into the habit of not really paying attention to what we're watching. Yeah. We're playing on our phones or doing something else. But this series is one of those series you just got to pay attention to, man. You just got to sit down and actually pay attention to what you're watching.
I'm sitting here thinking about like watching those a while back, and all I can remember is there was a penguin.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember the
context. And Masato had the penguin.
Yeah.
It was just for pet.
There's some things that stick in my memory and some that just come in and keep on going.
I think I think my plan is to watch the rebuild series, and then if I'm still in the mood for more, go back and watch the 1990s stuff. Yeah. Because I never really... Well, I was trying to go through it. Was you got the 95 series, and there was a Death and Rebirth films, so there was like 1 or 2 of those. And then there was end of Evangelion, and I don't know how those relate to one another. Like, the Death and Rebirth films are actually kind of like a recut of the series, where they've just made a couple of movies out of the series. Yeah. And then End of Evangelion, I think, is an alternate ending to the series. Okay. Yeah. I appreciate that they're willing to go out there, but sometimes it's hard to follow.
I'd have to wait till I'm either done or just at a good stopping spot with Bleach, because I'm overwhelmed with characters in Bleach now that I see guys I'm like, oh, I like this guy, but I don't remember what his name is. And it's a really character heavy show. 5 seasons into that, and I just... When
you start getting a lot of characters, I glaze over. Oh yeah, okay.
What was
I'll remember my favorites, and that's it.
Tokyo Ghoul. Probably one of our favorite series. I've rewatched that several times. The first 2 parts are just amazing. The third part comes back in, and it just like triples the characters. And it becomes this thing where I was watching it with Logan, and I'm like, who is that? Which one is that? And he was kind of getting like, don't you remember? I'm like, no. He doesn't. Seemed like he was getting frustrated that I couldn't keep track of the characters, and I was like, I literally would start to pull it up on my phone trying to like keep a character list there, because it was just
like the idea of taking notes while watching.
Or just even trying to, if you wanted to talk about the episode with somebody after, it'd be like, you know the guy he was in white,
the pink one, the red one.
He was in white, and he had things come out of his back. It's like, well, that's everybody in Tokyo Ghoul. I was like, well, yeah. So I need a 5 character, maybe maximum, for a show, and it needs to not be a 18 syllable Japanese name. I need one guy to be named Bob, so at least I can remember Bob.
Dan to Dan was good. Yes. I think that's one of the reasons we probably liked it so much. It was simple enough.
Yes.
For our old brains.
Took me a couple times to be able to say Okarun, and after that, I got Momo.
Go. Yeah. That should be coming out in a couple of months.
Yeah, I see trailers for stuff that act like they're immediately coming, and then the trailers kind of disappear, and then you go look it up like we did for Demon Slayer, and they're like, oh yeah, it's coming out in November. I'm like, why did you put a trailer out last December? It's like, that's a little early. And maybe different release times in Japan or something, but who knows?
Well, that's one of the good things about consuming media that has already come out. You don't have to wait for more to come out.
Yeah, I'm definitely more comfortable. Just give me something that I can watch from front to finish, and don't give me a show that gets me really into it. And then it's like, yeah, well, I'll have new episodes next June. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'll have to watch 2 seasons again before that, because I'll never remember it by then.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's it for now. I guess we got to do our
dessert.
Our dessert.
Am I picking this one?
Yeah, it's all you.
Let me do a little fishing.
All right.
I should, after saying that about the tick, should just shove this in my mouth and spit the thing out. But I don't remember if we handwrit them. I don't want to swallow some ink. And
all right. Okay, we've
The
talked
Walking-
about it, I think, every episode so far.
The Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead.
So
Okay.
I may, depending on the time, I do have the third omnibus. I may sit down and try to go into high gear on that.
Okay.
Because I'd be curious to see where that goes, different from the show. But we'll see how much time I have. And
I'll continue where I left off with the series. I'm not going to commit to getting into the comic book.
yeah, and I see stuff happening now, like Maggie and Negan in New York and stuff, and
Yeah, I'm not going to bother with any of the extra series. We'll go main series.
yeah, there's enough to talk about in the main one.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar enough with some of the places they made changes that I think I'm good on that, but
Okay.
I might have to do a little homework on that one too.
Yeah, we definitely have some homework.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really bad homework.
Gotta watch something that is somewhat entertaining.
Got to read some comics and watch some TV.
All right, well, thank you, Joel. This was fun.
Yeah.
It was good seeing you again.
All right.
All right, thanks for joining us.
Next time.